Sports can play a big part in one's life. And I wondered, how does sports or physical activity improve mental well-being? And so I went on a mission to find out. And here's the answers and the stories I collected. And can you please read the card?
It says how my childhood made me into the person I am today. So, do you want me to answer it?
Yes, please.
I grew up about 30 minutes from Reading.
In a small town called Buckingham.
So I grew up in London, have a family of 5, I've got 2 younger brothers.
I've had my own company from quite a young age.
Like my best mate I've known for almost 11 years now.
So I went to a boarding school, so I kind of got used to being in my own space, in my own mind, adapting to being with myself the whole time.
I was a very quiet kid, to say the least.
So I'd say generally I'm quite an introverted person, unless I sort of find the right space. Always really into games as a kid. One of the biggest things was when I got a Nintendo Wii for Christmas. I always used to play, like, especially the Lego games. Me and my dad would always play them during the summer. Also sports, I was always really, really sporty as a kid.
My parents would try to get me to join loads of sports.
One point I think I was doing jiu-jitsu, football and rugby, and then sort of slowly whittled it down and ended up at my final destination of rugby.
Now I'm focusing on playing table tennis now. The one sport I really got into was cricket, so I invested quite a bit of time playing that.
I've been holding a cricket bat since I was 3 years old. There's a picture of me somewhere in like my first ever England top. It's about 5 sizes too big for me, and I'm just holding a mini cricket bat. And I remember going to my first training in the winter, picking up the ball. I must have been under 9s, and I bowled it, and it came up really quickly for that age. I was like, hold on, let me do that again. I did it again, and I did it about 4 or 5 times more. I was like, oh wait, this just feels right. I know how to do this. I'm not thinking about it. I'm sort of just doing it. And that's where the love for bowling and cricket definitely grew.
I started in musical theatre, so obviously there's acting, singing and dancing. I most got on with the dancing part. That would be my favourite out of all the 3. That kind of led into kind of stepping away from musical theatre a little bit into kind of joining a different kind of like studio and kind of doing it that way, and just kind of making it my main thing.
I enjoyed football from quite an early age. Like that was completely solely down to my dad. He got me into football.
It was through my dad. I can't remember exactly, but my dad took me to lessons for my local club from like 4 or 5, very young. So it's a nice thing. I always associate football with him and being able to spend time with him. So that was probably my first experience of playing sport.
I started playing around the age of 4, and then started properly watching the team I support, Aston Villa, at like 7 years old.
Some of my greatest memories are at football matches with my dad next to me after we score a winning goal.
So football was something that excited me as a child.
So I did gymnastics a lot growing up. It was probably the biggest part of my childhood. I was doing about 20 hours a week since I was about 5, well, maybe a bit older, but started when I was 5. I think the dedication and the commitment to doing something for so long definitely shaped me. I think it gave me a very good work ethic. I sort of remember really enjoying it when I was maybe like 7 or 8. So I'd been doing it for a bit already, but I remember sort of picking it up and starting to really enjoy it then.
A passion that starts early in life. How does it evolve through time? Can you fall out of love with a passion? And if so, why?
Year 10, I was not in a great place. My mind was going 100 miles an hour, but instead of it going 100 miles an hour and having good thoughts, it was 100 miles an hour getting bad thoughts.
There's no person on the planet that's never had a period where almost like their own mind is turning against them, their own mind is battling against them.
Clashing with your own mind. And the more you clash, the more you get annoyed at yourself.
Because I was quite different, especially like doing my sport now, so dance. It's very kind of different to what other kids played. So they would play like football, and obviously I would try fit in and kind of do that thing too. So like I would do football outside of school, but I always felt like I was a little bit different. Like there was something about me that's different. And I found that is because I am gay. So basically I always felt like I had to kind of fit in by doing those things, and I desperately wanted to fit in that way. But obviously that wasn't me. I would be authentic kind of like around my parents, but I would kind of put up a front in front of other kids.
The beginning of my second year was a massive struggle for me. And my second year as a whole, I was diagnosed with mild depression and imposter syndrome.
Definitely around COVID, I really had kind of a rough time with anxiety, being locked up because everything's so internalised, you know. I kind of really took on my academic work as a result of that, and obviously there's loads of stress within academic work.
Had a few weeks where I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I should be here. Like, I hear other people going on about how they've got plans for this, that and whatever. And I was sort of stuck being like, oh, I'm here and I don't really know what to do next.
Year 11, I didn't really speak to many people. I still had my friend group and I opened up. When people spoke to me, I still spoke. If you went behind the scenes back then, you'd be like, it wasn't in a good place. And then summer of year 11, that was a pretty bad time for me. I did something that I shouldn't have done, not like with someone else, to myself. But I'm better now, I'm good. Feeling alive again. But beforehand, I think I'd burnt out so much of thinking 1,000 miles an hour all the time. And I sort of just felt literally lifeless, like there was nothing left.
It'd have to be the person I met last year, who's a graduate now. We formed a very strong bond within that year, but there wasn't a lot of communication. The communication wasn't very well, which is what kind of let it crumble quite quickly. There were more, it's like ups and downs, but there were very violent ups and downs. So when it really got down, it was like really, really sad. Didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what else to do now. Just keep going. That was kind of what I had. I couldn't really go to table tennis that much. There was a period of time where we stopped talking, and then I knew she'd still be at table tennis, but it was too awkward for me to go, so I had to just not go. I couldn't go. I couldn't bring myself to go and see if she's there or not. So there was a period of time where I just maybe didn't go for a couple of weeks, just to let things calm down.
It's always been there for me, like ever since I started doing it. It's kind of just part of me now. It's kind of like a part of my identity. Like everyone who knows me knows that kind of I do dance, and kind of it's always, oh, it's Charlie from dance. It's kind of who I am really. I think it always will be.
Seeing the same group of lads every single week, playing the sport that I loved and enjoying that, and that sort of allowed me to take sort of back control of my life a little bit, because I started feeling better about that, and then that started influencing the rest of my life, and then that sort of pushed me forwards.
So what's funny is when I was feeling that way back in those years, cricket didn't help at all, because it's one of the most mentally tough games you can possibly play, because although you're in a team, you're alone. You bowl alone, you bat alone. If you bowl badly, it's on you. If you get out badly, it's on you. I wasn't having a good season, I wasn't training well, I wasn't in the right mindset. Beforehand, if something got bad, I go, at least I'm good at this. At least cricket is that thing. It wasn't there anymore.
Every time you think about like something you have to do, it's like, oh, I've got to go do it. I think very quickly it can go from something you enjoy to a chore.
It was something that I wanted to kind of pursue kind of as a career, but I think it's kind of taught me that I wouldn't want to do it all the time. It's something that is so special to me that I want to have it kind of scattered and not kind of all in one kind of go, because it is something that's so meaningful to me.
It kind of started reaching a bit of a plateau where I think the work became a lot harder to do for me to see the results.
I think it intensified it, to be honest, because you become so passionate about becoming better, it makes you want to work harder at it.
I think I just got frustrated and didn't stop trusting the process and just started moving around. It's not really working very consistently.
It was the stage where I went from like, oh, football's just something I just do for fun, to like, oh, literally football is all I want to do now. And you know, as well as playing it, you enjoy watching it more, and it becomes more of like a sport that you want to succeed at. Every sort of game you play against another team, you want to win.
Gymnastics is an individual sport. Trying to keep yourself motivated in gymnastics is very difficult because you have to want it. And there's not a game every week where you win or you lose and you get that feedback of how you're doing. It's are you better than you were a year ago? That's kind of the metric you need to use. Sort of luckily COVID happened around when I was 16, so I stopped with the sport, and I think it was a good decision. I think I needed to reset and find like my enjoyment of it. There was pressure to try and win, but I think it became quite apparent to me that I wasn't in the top 5 gymnasts in the country. You go to these comps and you compete and you might have had your best comp ever, but you're 12th or whatever, and it's like, and when you're 14, 15, 16, you just like, why am I doing this? There's no external reward. Whereas now I don't really care that much about the reward. I'm doing it because I love the sport. It's now very much an individual thing for me, you know. I'm proud of whatever I do, regardless of external competition pressure.
And now it's something that I can't imagine not training. I can't imagine in summer, I can't imagine not playing on a Wednesday and a Saturday and a Sunday. That's just not an option for me anymore. I don't know what I'd do with my weekends if I didn't.
I'll probably say I'm addicted to it in a way. I'd just be able to play every game and
I don't want to do anything else. When I'm at home, I will play virtual reality cricket. When I'm up doing nothing, sometimes I'll play a shot, I'll just shadow back doing absolutely nothing.
it's weird because the day after for a game you'll wake up and you're really sore and you think, oh, you don't want to go do that again in 2-3 days, but every time I play a game I just want to keep going.
I'm addicted to the game and I love it, even though it's caused me some harm in the past. I still love it.
It's time away from everything else.
It definitely felt like a break.
So you're sort of in your own zone for however many minutes a week.
Uni applications or exams or family pressures or anything that's going on in your world, you can just kind of leave behind because there's no reminders or anything. You can just play your sports with your friends, give your all, and just really leave it all out on the field.
It's like tunnel vision. You're only focused on that. You play football and it's like it all just vanishes.
Kind of my head just feels more clear when I'm dancing. I mean, it kind of has to be because you're also kind of focused on movement.
Gymnastics doesn't work if you're thinking about two things. You notice it immediately if you're not thinking about stuff properly. So there's that instant feedback of let's focus, you know.
You're using probably different parts of your brain when you're dancing because there's so many kind of things going on. Obviously there's the memory side to it, there's the music, there's the rhythm. It's just so different to kind of normal thinking, kind of academic thinking, that it just becomes such a different world. Dance is my kind of creative outlet in a way. Every couple of times a week I can just sort of really express myself and kind of have that break from academic pressures and things like that.
I think it's very almost like brain dead because you're just doing what your body's been told to do. Because of that, you're just not thinking about anything, but also all of it at the same time. All of those like little timing and shape adjustments that you need to be making, your brain and your body is just doing that in real time, but you're not thinking like, I need the specifics about it. It's just you feel where you're meant to be in like space.
So yeah, it is quite calming for me to play because I know that my friends are going to be there. I can just catch up with people, see what's been going on over the week. For me, it's more of a social activity than a performance activity. I want to call it a mini social because I can just talk to people, see what's going on, which I much rather prefer than playing to be good.
I will say though, obviously I'm very social in gymnastics, but I think what is nice about it is it's, again, as I was saying, it's an individual sport. The only person I need to really focus on is myself to make sure what I'm doing is worth my time and safe and all these other factors, you know. So I think it's quite nice to just think only about yourself a little bit, if that makes sense, when you're doing the actual stuff. It doesn't really drain my social battery because I can just sit there and focus on doing what I need to do. I think my social battery draining is a big part of my mental health. I think when it's flat and I still have to go do stuff, then it's like, okay, this is going to be a bit of a challenge. I do enjoy spending time with people, but I think I definitely need my own space, especially uni, so constantly you live with 5 of your friends and then, you know, everywhere you go there's your friends everywhere, and often like 9 o'clock in the morning until 10 in the evening I'm with friends, which is very nice, but then sometimes you're like, I just need to sit down, spending time on my own.
I don't know, because it's such a unique sport in that it's not classed as a team sport, but it really is. But it's also so individual in a sense that you're working together, but you're doing your own kind of thing. You're not having to rely on other people, but you also are.
Win or lose, you're a team together. You're trying to achieve a goal, And you know, it's not a one-man show. You got to work well as a team in order to achieve it. So that naturally brings a community together.
What does community mean to you?
Community means
Like a support group.
Support branch is kind of what I call it. Like just being able to have multiple routes of people you can talk to. I've got my girlfriend, my family, my friends from home, and then my rugby friends as well. People that you know will like check up on you, or if you're feeling down, they will see that behaviour and realise it as abnormal and say, "Oh, you're right, mate. What's going on?"
to have a group, to be inclusive. As the president, I'm going to be at the majority of the sessions that go on, and I can tell when something's off about someone, or I can be eagle-eyed as to see who's sort of sitting out, not really talking to many people. I've had to sort of go up to those people and say, "Oh, hi, what's your name? What course you're doing?" Stuff like that. So they have at least some sort of welcome and inclusivity, and they can acknowledge that it's sort of a safer place for them. Have someone you can talk to about something you might be interested in, or someone you can trust.
A lot of it's trust and being there for each other and trusting that they're going to be there for you.
One of the best things you can have.
And also within a community, you have mutual interests.
A form of escapism, but with people that are also sort of seeking the same sort of forms of escapism. And you don't acknowledge it, it's not something you say, but you sort of know that you come here to do something you enjoy and to socialise with people that you have things in common with. And even that is an escapism in itself. Everyone needs a break from life sometimes, because one thing that I've learned is it goes 100 miles an hour and it stops for no one. So you need to make it stop, because no one else is really going to make it stop for you.
If gymnastics were to disappear like tomorrow, what would you do?
I would probably fight for everything I could to get it back. But I honestly don't know what I'd do. I mean,
I think it will disappear soon. It's not a sport that you can really do for very long. It definitely has an expiry date on it. I don't know. I do other sports. As I said, I do rugby. It's very pro-social sport because you have to really trust your teammates and whatnot to get a lot better. Whereas gymnastics is very, as I was saying, it's such an individualistic sport. It just allows me to shut off, and I don't think if I only did rugby I would get that satisfaction. It would have to be something physical, I think, and individual. I would have to replace it with something.
I feel like I'm quite kind of adaptable. I'd find something transferable, sport-wise. Just finding another activity. Like, I feel like I would find, there are so many sports, I think I would find something that I would love, but I think if it was to magically go away, I think I would always miss it, and it would still always be a part of who I am.
Because it does fulfill such a unique part of my brain that needs that kind of stimulation, if that makes sense, that kind of release.
I think it's more freeing because I've just come into kind of who I truly am. With the other parts of my identity, such as being gay, kind of like having that barrier come down, I think it's kind of just helped me with my confidence even more with dancing. It would still always be something that I'll talk about, kind of memories and kind of thinking back. It would always be in my thoughts.
I really hope that sticks around. I've gained loads of social skills while playing sports as well. I sort of know how to sort of put myself into different situations. And everyone does sports everywhere. You'll find someone, no matter where you go, you will find a group who do the same sport as you. And you will have something in common with those people at least. You could feel welcome wherever you go and do that sport.
I think when I leave uni, it's going to have a bigger role than ever, because it will, for a little bit, be my only sense of escapism when I get a job and I've got things to think about. The more I progress in life, cricket will be that time where I still go and I still feel like, in a way, what I am now. I'm free, I'm playing cricket, I'm enjoying myself. For the rest of my life, because of how I've grown up with it, it will always sort of be my comfort blanket now. Yeah, I've had a bad experience with it, but I wouldn't change it. It
feels like home from another home. It feels like you're playing at the place you used to play in, but just in a different location. And the fact I'm able to do that is really comforting.
Despite the challenges you may have to face, Perhaps you can count on sport and physical activity as a way to find solace, to find community and mutual understanding. It's a release from the stresses of the day-to-day life. It's comforting, it's familiarity for some, and it's a way to develop new skills for others and thus to discover more about the self. It's a home away from home. You enter a different dimension, a different world, where time seems to stop, and the only thing you really have to focus on is the present moment.